Views and opinions of any of the guests of After Hours AM are not necessarily the views and opinions of After Hours AM, its hosts, its staff, or any of its affiliates.
Welcome to the After Hours program.
Are you
Now broadcasting live from the After Hours AM studio, Joel Sturgis.
Welcome to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Michael O'Neill. We're coming at you, shortwave, longwave, smoke signal. You name it, you're listening to us, especially over there on iHeartRadio. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, you guys came in masses. Again, you listened to us. I was surprised. Look at the numbers. Some of the countries were truly international. I just want to give a big shout out to some of these countries out there that are listening. We got South Africa, we got Italy, we got New Zealand, France, Australia, Mexico, the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, Canada, and of course, good old USA. Those are our number one countries last week. So thank you guys again for coming in and allowing us to fill 2 hours of your time. It's precious to us.
Love you.
And thank you so much for being part of the gang. And you guys always come up each and every week, your stories and your questions. And gosh, it's just it's a very humbling experience when I crack the numbers and I listen to how many are truly listening to little old us. So again, thank you so much for allowing us into your living rooms. That being said, Mike, what? Oh. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was going to say, I'm going to learn how to say thank you or I love you in every language, so I can. Yeah. Well, that would we can do that here on the air. Good thing.
That'd be a good thing. You know, that'd be all right. That'd be all right. So how have you been?
I have been phenomenal. I'm having an extraordinarily awesome day, and
so what happened that was so extraordinary?
Okay, so every day, as you know, Monday through Friday, I do a Facebook Live session at 1:30 p.m. On my paranormal page, and today I got to talk with Rochelle Stratton from Ghost Hunters. So she came on that, and that was awesome. And I got my new piece of equipment that I've been waiting 3 weeks for.
Oh, what's that today. Equipment?
Oh, it's a really, really nice and good and efficient, however you want to call it, EMF detector.
Oh, so, very cool. Very cool.
Yes.
That is, okay, for the people that are not ghost techie like you are, someone might not know what an EMF detector is. Want to enlighten us?
Everybody should know what
they should, but you just never know. There might be that guy going, what the hell's it? Or gal. What the hell's an EMF detector? Share that with us.
No. I mean, it will, but no.
Really want to.
I mean, everybody knows what an EMF detector is.
Not everybody.
Electromagnetic frequency detector is what it is. And basically, everything that is electronic in your entire world, your phone, your TV, your Wi-Fi especially, throws out an EMF field, and this detects the intensity of it. How much EMF there is there. High, very, very bad. Low, very good.
Okay. Well, that's that in a nutshell. But how does it detect ghosts? I mean, is...
Oh, is that where we're going? Okay.
Yeah, what we get it. We get it. It's for detecting magnetic frequencies in the air. But
yes.
How do you know it's a ghost though? That's the question.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you're at any investigation, you want to take a baseline reading. So you want to know where
I just opened up a can of worms I should not have opened up.
That's what I was going. I was like, okay.
I just realized that now when the worms hit my shoes. So we'll just kind of wrap that up.
I can sum it up. So basically, as a spirit tries to manifest or do something in our plane of existence, it gives off an EMF. It gives off some sort of energy signature, and that's what this picks up. So you look for phantom energy signatures with this device.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you, Mike, for that rich and thought-provoking description.
Well, that's what I'm here for, to bring light and clarity into your life.
Okay, we got some stories on tap, and then second hour we're gonna have a psychic medium on that's gonna talk with us about their ability and accuracy and things like that. And that's, of course, Melissa Bryan. She'll be joining us, and I think that will be an interesting interview to talk with her. And I hopefully you guys hang around for that. We'd really love you to. And because if we're stuck, so are you. And no, I'm kidding, of course. But why don't we get to some stories, huh, Mike?
Absolutely. The first one comes from Jamie, and she writes in, a few weeks ago, I woke up at 2 a.m. As I opened my eyes, I was looking at something that was staring back at me. It took me a while to realize and focus on what I was looking at. Staring back at me was a man's face. I couldn't see anything besides his face. Once I realized what I was looking at, I quickly turned my head away and hoped it would go away. It seemed to me, and so far since that night, I haven't. It seemed to, and so far since that night, I haven't seen him again.
Wow. That is compelling and rich.
I as I read it over and think about it, it comes to mind, maybe she was matrixing something, but then again, she looks at the stuff every single night.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what could she have seen differently that night that, for whatever reason, is never there any other night?
That is true.
That
is true.
That she could have matrixed.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed that I just turned my head away and just kind of hoped it would leave, and not like I freaked out and started screaming.
Well, there's no sense of screaming. It's kind of like having a spider in your bed, right? We've all been there, having something like that in our bed, where it's like, oh, get away from me. Last thing you want to do is scream and make a spectacle of yourself. You got to be cool and calm. And pareidolia may be hitting. Who knows? That could have been a little pareidolia. Or, you could have been I got a story about something similar once we discuss this a little bit further. That is good that you did not run. And you did the right thing. I mean, you kind of turned away. You're cool, calm, and collected. I'm not sure all of us, because your bedroom's kind of your fortress of solitude, as it were, right? That's where you're.
Yes.
I mean, that's where you're most vulnerable, really, when you think about is your bedroom. So I think that's why people feel so rattled when something happens in their bedroom, because that is the one place that you're just vulnerable and you just want to be left alone. But I've noticed a couple of things over the last few weeks. A lot of these stories have been taking place in the bedroom, these paranormal stories. And number two, since the lockdown that most of us are part of in some form, some fashion, not all states, but most states have some order of stay at home, the paranormal stories related to that, people seeing more things, has also gone up. I'm not sure if you've noticed this too, Mike.
I haven't necessarily noticed it, because it's not like my phone is ringing off the hook, or my emails are dinging every hour.
Judging by the emails we get to the show, a lot of them have been because of this some of them, I'd say a fair bit, have been because of this lockdown. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that, such as you're home more now. Maybe because you're always busy doing something before, had to go somewhere, had to do this, had to do that. You weren't necessarily paying attention to your surroundings because your mind was completely on something else. Now we're all pretty much home, or at least for the next couple weeks, and some of us are free to do whatever you want, and I'm jealous of you for that. But now people are starting to really take stock in what creepy things are around them.
Yeah. I would like to know from Jamie if the man's face looked familiar in any way. Could be somebody checking in, on her, a relative, something like that. Checking in, see how she's doing. I mean, this is a lockdown, and many people are having a hard time.
Yeah.
With it, and I think that's the best time to see, a past parent or even a grandparent or a friend to come back and give you a hug. I have had it happen, not during the quarantine, because this isn't really bothering me that much. But I have gone through some hard times in the last couple of years, and got a dream hug from my mother, which I absolutely needed, and it happens. So I would like to know if it looked familiar at all.
That'd be interesting. I was a funny story. I was sleeping in an unfamiliar place. It was on the floor. I was curled up on the floor. It was on an investigation thing. Back when I could still sleep on the floor and get up and not feel like I was just run over by a truck. You remember those days, don't you, Mike?
Nope.
Okay, so you can sleep on the floor and feel just fine. God bless
No, I don't
you.
sleep on the floor.
Well, anyhow, I did not realize going to sleep. I did not realize right next to me, like right next to my head, on the wall side, because I was facing into the room, and my eyes were towards the wall. There was a mirror behind me, and I woke up to it looking at the wall. And holy crap, what is that staring at me? It was myself. But it freaked the living hell out of me.
Crap out of anybody.
Yeah, it freaked the living hell right out of me. I had to get. I was up so fast. I didn't even stretch or anything. It was like I was young again. Boom, got up and freaked myself out, and everyone started laughing. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny until it happens to you. And you better pray it doesn't, because when it does, I'll be there to laugh. But that's my story of the face looking back at me.
I will be... I'll be right there. Like, if it happens to me, I mean, I'm not saying that my reaction would have been any different than yours, but I know that I would have face-palmed myself and then just started laughing hysterically at stupidity.
Yeah, I did start laughing at myself almost immediately after I realized what it was. And it got the heart going, let me tell you. Because that was one of the claims of this investigation, was the person would see something staring at them when they're waking up. So
maybe it was always just the mirror in themselves.
I kind of came to that. I was kind of thinking that same thing after it happened to me. And when you're first waking up, you're really not completely in tune with your surroundings yet. Maybe that brief glimpse of yourself in a mirror with just enough light that would obscure your own features would be enough to freak you out. I'm not saying this is Jamie's situation at all. I'm just talking about my situation. And there could be something to that. I do know that if you take a mirror and a candle, it causes all sorts of strange things to be seen.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely a good suggestion to put in people's heads.
I'm talking about psychomantium, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we've talked about it before on the show. We've talked we just recently talked about it with Vince Wilson, psychomantium. It's not something I suggest at all, because it can lead to issues. It has led to issues for people. So I'm just saying that play of light can cause people to have odd reactions with their eyes.
Yep.
Okay, number 2. This is from John. I was touring an old house, which was a tourist attraction. As soon as I stepped into the living room, I got a big sense of anxiety and stomach sickness. It gave me a feeling like I needed to cry. Oof. So I left as soon as I walked out the door. I left as soon as I walked. John,
left and...
I know, but you could have just said, I left. You didn't need to explain the door. I felt completely relieved and normal. So without telling my mother, I brought her in the same room and asked if she felt it too. She knew what I meant because she also had that huge sense of anxiety and just extreme uncomfort. I went back after the tour, and the room felt normal. Creepy. That is creepy, though. I'll let you field it first, because I know you have stories about feeling that way, right?
I have stories of other people feeling that way. Not me. A lot of times I tell people I'm as sensitive as a brick, which is pretty accurate when it comes to these sort of things.
You're pretty in touch with your feelings. I would say that you're not.
I'm in touch with my feelings, not anybody else's. There's a difference. I honestly, I know that this stuff happens. I mean, it's energy transference. You're picking up what an entity or a room or any location has left there. Mm-hmm. There definitely could have been a spirit that was his last feelings, or that was how he felt, that anxiety. Maybe he died of a stomach ailment, and his energy just happened to be around at that point in time. And it was felt by the people who were sensitive enough to feel it. I mean, obviously, and I don't know if this is true or not, since he didn't say anything about the rest of the tour, but it doesn't seem like anybody else except mother and son felt this energy.
Yeah, because
yeah,
I know what you mean. Because I've been there. I walked into a room and felt, oh, this does not feel nice. For whatever reason, there's that sense of dread. There's a lot of times it's pressure too. You'll get in those rooms, like actual tangible pressure. I don't know if you've ever felt that, but just like almost like feelings of pressure.
I have felt heaviness. Like I have noticed the difference in how a room feels, and that's about it. But I know last year in August, my team and I went down to host a 2-day event at Ashmore Estates in Illinois. And I would probably say half the people that attended there had some sort of emotional experience that was kind of thrown upon them. Sioux, who's one of the caretakers there, actually had to leave the first night because she was starting to bawl, and she had no idea why. This was completely unlike her, and it was from what I know of her, that was an accurate statement. And she had to leave. She had to go home. And she was back the next day, and she was fine. But it definitely happens, especially at places that have seen a lot of anxiety and sickness and death, that sort of thing. So, I don't know what this old house is, but it
would be interesting if he could have shared the location. It's obviously a public place because they're doing tours in it, so it would have been interesting to hear where that was. And I know when I go into some of those rooms, it almost feels like to me I'm going underwater. The pressure. My ears will pop, stuff like that. It's very strange.
Yeah, if you felt that and I was right next to you, I'll bet you anything that I'd probably just be like, "Yep, just feels like a room."
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? If you say that you're not sensitive, you probably are sensitive. Probably more sensitive than you're giving yourself credit for.
I'm more clairsentient than I am empathic.
So you're kind of like the guy when everything's going crazy, you'll just sit there and go, "What'd I miss?"
No, I would probably miss it, but no, I'm more of, from what I understand, a knower. I can take what I see and the claims, and I can figure out what is going on based on what I'm told, what I feel, what I see. But I don't I could not stand in a room and be like, okay, there's a spirit over there in the corner, or I don't feel that emotion. Like I have never, to my knowledge, gotten any sort of emotional transference from any sort of spirit. Like I've never felt the need to cry. I've never felt depressed. I've never been. I've had it where, but I think it's more of the food I ate before. I've never been nauseated to the point where I need to leave. I've never felt any of that, period. But I have a lot of people that have investigated with me over the years. That have.
Yeah. Well, it's not for everybody, and there's a lot of people that don't feel anything. I sometimes do, sometimes I don't. It all kind of depends on maybe how I'm feeling that day, because that has a lot to do with it too. How receptive you are that day.
I suppose.
How into it you are. That kind of thing, where your mind's at, and be able to put things together. That's being a good investigator. The who, what's, where's, and when's, and how's, and those kinds of things with a clear mind without being swayed one way or another. So I go into everything, every situation, every investigation in my gearbox in neutral. I don't believe and I don't disbelieve, because I believe the facts should speak for themselves. Yeah,
I mean, the other thing for me, and this probably has something to do with it, is when I go into investigation mode, it's blinders on the eyes. I have one focus, and that is the investigation, what is going on, what needs to go on. Does somebody have a question that I have to answer? Do I have to adjust? I'm the one that's in charge. So I focus on that. So I don't open myself up, so to speak, for all of these other experiences to happen to me.
Yeah, you don't like the peripheral vision experiences. You like to be laser focused.
I don't even mention it if that happens. You want to hang on my peripheral, fine, but don't expect to get any attention from me there, buddy.
There you go. Interesting story. I'd like to know where the place is. If you don't mind sharing where that public place is, that'd be great. But if not, I understand that as well. But hit us back. And if you do go back and you feel that same feeling again, definitely email us back and let us know it's happened more than once. That piques my interest.
Absolutely. So our next one comes from Paula. It said, my partner and I recently welcomed our baby into our home.
Oh.
We noticed... I was going to stop and say congratulations, but I figured I'd just keep on reading. We noticed that when we put her on her changing table, she will stare up at the same spot and smile and squeak. On further inspection, we realized that she is, in fact, staring at a mirror that we hung in her nursery. We found this mirror in my partner's father's garage, and when we asked him today where it came from, he told us it belonged to my partner's late mother. Does this sound like a paranormal type of thing? Can energies attach to objects like this? Are babies susceptible to things like this? Now, there's a lot of questions in there.
There is a lot of questions. I have a lot of anecdotal answers. Being a father of, several children.
Right. So you'll have to speak as a father, and I'll be speaking.
I brought home a lot of babies. I brought home a lot of babies home. And the first one, of course, is always the hardest one, because you don't know what to expect and how they act and what they do and those kinds of things, and they terrify you. Especially, like I said, the very first baby. Second one comes along, you're like, yeah, I've seen that before. Third one, you're like, you don't even pay attention. Other than, their milestones and stuff like that. But, I mean, they all do weird things in the beginning. Now, are they susceptible to, I would assume, because you emailed us, a paranormal happening dealing with the mirror? Well, you got to remember, babies are very curious, even at a newborn age. They're looking at everything. Everything to them is brand new. Everything around them. They've never seen it before. They've never touched it before. Everything is a wonderment to them. So if they're seeing even themselves in the mirror, babies love to see themselves in the mirror, by the way. They get the biggest kick out of that. I don't know why. My daughter, you could sit her in front of a mirror when she was just a baby, and she'd giggle at herself for hours. I swear to God. Because she's a beautiful child, and she's probably going, yeah, this is great. No, but babies do have different sensory things. See, you gotta remember, nothing's new to us anymore. You see a mirror, it's just not new to you. I mean, you've seen it a million times. But a baby's like, whoa, if I move, it moves. That kind of thing going on. Is it paranormal? Could be, but I'm almost leaning more towards just a developing child. Just seen a mirror for the first time.
Nice. My turn?
Yep.
Sweet. So I'm going to first answer that can energies attach to objects? Yes, 100% they can. I mean, hell, John Zaffis had an entire show based around that, Haunted Collector. And I don't know how you would do it. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but absolutely, energies in somebody's spirit or soul can attach itself to a particular piece. That's why a lot of people, when they go antiquing, they'll come home and all of a sudden there'll be activity in their house based on what they bought. And there's been a lot of documented cases like that. So can energies attach to an object? 100% yes. Are babies susceptible to things like this? That's also a yes, because they haven't been taught how to close themselves off. I mean, babies and children especially are very open to the paranormal and spirits and energies and all this stuff. And there's nothing bad about that, and there's nothing even unusual about it. But it does happen. Now, is this particular event paranormal? I don't think so. I think, like Joel just said, I think it's having fun looking at itself or seeing how the room is suddenly different than that part. Like, I think he's just kind of smiling and squeaking at the mirror. And whatever he or she, her changing it. So whatever she sees in the mirror, I don't think there's anything paranormal about it whatsoever. But if it was, I mean, with this mirror belonging to the partner's late mother, is it really a bad thing?
No.
I mean,
I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. I mean, taking the email at face value, if it is the mother, the grandmother, interacting with the child, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I hope that is the case, too, that maybe it is the mother reaching out. Maybe it is the mother enjoying some time with her grandchild she was never able to meet. That's, like I said, that's a wonderful, heartwarming story. But, extraordinary claims require that pesky, extraordinary evidence.
Yes, they do. Sorry to say. But I will say this: Paula wrote the email the very same day that she found out about the mirror.
She did. She did. Paula.
So again, we are the go-to people immediately after something strange happens.
We are, and thank you for thinking of us. And I think we have a case of Occam's razor here.
Perhaps.
The easiest answer, the most obvious answer, is usually the right answer. So
the most obvious answer was to write to us?
Yes, and thank you again, Paula.
Welcome.
For doing that. We appreciate that. Keep it coming. And also keep us posted, because we're interested very much so moving forward. Like if the child becomes a little more self-aware and starts to act out a little bit towards it or has different feelings towards it, keep us informed of that, because that would be an interesting thing to hear. I mean, obviously we don't want to go traipsing in there doing a full-blown investigation around a toddler, but it would be interesting just to hear that anecdotal evidence that maybe the baby is communicating with the mother, the grandmother, anyway, as it were. We got to run. We'll be right back right after this.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey, girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And we are back. Welcome back to After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Michael O'Neill, and we are reading your emails. But often the funniest stories come during the break.
Yes.
Okay. Mike dared me to talk about this on air, and I will because
for a second there, I literally thought that you were just going to leave it right there. We had the greatest stories during break. And then, okay, here's the next.
Well, this is a story that all the listeners can sympathize with. I, like most of our listening audience, sometimes have irregular movements. You know what I'm saying? Like they talk about on TV. You know, you get all bound up, you're not feeling right. So I took a product today called Magnesium Citrate. And the joking name is White Lightning. I know why they call it White Lightning. Wait a minute,
that was today?
That was today. That was this morning.
I thought that was just a random story.
No, that was this morning.
Oh.
I downed a bottle of this White Lightning.
That was probably your first
Oh, my God. It says, may cause, diarrhea. It should say, make no plans and grab a newspaper. Is what it should say. Like, you're in it for the long haul.
Actually, there's... I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, anyhow, if you ever need a good, thorough cleaning out, as it were, try White Lightning. You're going to see things that you ate when you were 6.
You might not want to try the whole bottle, though.
No, you might want to do a moderation.
Yeah.
A little's good, a lot's better. Hand the bottle.
Yeah, I'm starting to see where you went wrong in that decision-making process.
Oh, like I said, often the strangest conversations happen when the commercial's running. And that was no exception. So it's my turn to read. And
yes.
I will gladly do so. Sarah writes in, I have just listened to a past After Hours AM about apartment haunting. Oh, yes, I do remember. After I got this email to go back, I listened to it. It was, there's an apartment that is haunted by, it's haunted by, it's in the Dakota, John Lennon, stuff like that. And that's what we were talking about, was this haunted apartment that was in the Dakota Hotel, and how John Lennon is allegedly haunting it. And great show, by the way. You should check it out. Probably about 6 years ago we did that one. Anyhow, I digress. And she writes in. She says, it made me wonder if you jump off an apartment balcony, if you haunt it. Where do you haunt? The apartment? The balcony? Wherever you hit bottom? Does suicide bring peace? Or does a haunting point to suicide victims spending an eternity being restless and full of regret? Wow, you're really deep, Sarah. I have just wondered if someone who dies by their own hand ever finds peace. Whoa, there's a lot to unpack there. First off, I have to say that if you are contemplating suicide, I'm not saying you are, Sarah. I'm just saying that if you are contemplating suicide, absolutely reach out for help. A friend, a neighbor, us even. Email us up. We have ears. We have big shoulders. Because lots of hotlines. So if you are feeling down in the dumps, which is really common right now because of what we're all going through. So if you are feeling that way, absolutely reach out. We love you and we don't want to lose any of you. Okay, now that we qualified that, let's talk about that for a second. Apartment haunting. Okay, if you jump off a balcony, she wants to know if you haunt the balcony, or do you haunt the bottom where you hit, or you haunt the apartment? Well, there's a lot of stories about, usually it's a woman, usually it's a love gone bad, and usually the woman jumps off a balcony, and she dies. And usually she then haunts the room where she jumped. Am I right, Mike?
Some of the times, yes. But I mean, I guess in my own opinion, I take it where you go back to where things went wrong.
Okay.
You know, so if the apartment is indeed where everything turned to crap for you, to make you feel this way, and then jumped, then yes, it would be the apartment. But I mean, I guess I also think of people who go to hotels and commit suicide. You know, they don't haunt the hotel room. Mm-hmm. That's not where things went bad. That is where they went to end it.
Yes.
Yes. So, I mean, they're definitely not going to haunt where they hit, which both makes me cringe and laugh at the way you phrase that to no end. But no, they don't haunt like the balcony because that's where they jumped off. I think their energy and their spirit goes back to relive over and over again where it went wrong. There are a lot of, I guess like you're right. There's a lot of stuff that could be when it comes to suicide, and there's a lot of different opinions out there. I mean, obviously, if you're Catholic, you go to hell. You know, that's just the long and the short of it. But there are also people out there who think that it's all based on how you see yourself. You know, if you jumped and you don't have any regret and you don't see anything wrong with why you did that, I don't see why you wouldn't move on as any other entity would. It's all based on your own thoughts, your own, how you see yourself and your spirit now that you have taken your own life.
Yeah. That particular show that she's alluding to, John Lennon allegedly haunts that hotel or that apartment. John Bonham actually saw John Lennon, and oddly enough, he died in that apartment where John Lennon haunted.
So John Lennon is indeed the angel of death.
Well, I don't want to go that far.
I can see that.
But now, back up for a minute, though. He was murdered outside the Dakota by Mark David Chapman, not in the apartment.
Right.
He was outside.
But that's not suicide.
No, it's not
murder.
suicide. That's murder. What I'm saying, though, is he was killed outside the apartment. So if the theory is you haunt where you die, then he'd be outside the Dakota haunting that. And people have seen him outside the Dakota. People have talked about seeing a John Lennon-looking individual. But what's funny about the Dakota Hotel, there's a whole lot of John Lennon impersonators that like to go over to the Dakota and pay homage to him. And a lot of these guys look dead on. I'm not saying that it's them you're seeing or the people are reporting it. But I just want to throw that out there that it's kind of like Graceland for Elvis lovers. That is where John Lennon ended it all. So it's not uncommon to see an impersonator like dead on looking like John Lennon show up. Because I've been to the Dakota, and I have seen that from my own eyes going, damn, that guy looks like John Lennon. So, why would by this logic, why would John Lennon be haunting the apartment and not the street? Good question. I think you're right. I think it's maybe that was where he was the happiest right before it happened, is why he's haunting the apartment.
Well, I guess my question about, because I don't know the story. I don't know about the John Lennon ghost, so I could be way off base here. But did they just see him but not interact?
They claim that people interacted with him. People have said they've just seen him. Again, that's Mecca for John Lennon fans. You see what I'm saying, Mike? I mean, it's like they're everywhere over there because that is their holy Mecca. If you're a John Lennon fan, is where he last took his breath. So it's not coming to see in person there. Now, other people claim that they've walked through John Lennon, that they've seen him disappear in a wisp. So there are definitely ghostly encounters, and then there's others that say they talked to John Lennon, allegedly John Lennon, and use that big quotations, for 10, 15 minutes before he goes into Dakota and disappears.
Because my question would be then, is it residual or not? I mean, if he spent a lot of time in that apartment, his energy is going to be there.
Yeah, because he did his Lost Weekend there with Yoko Ono. He did spend a lot of time there, but now the story is, and taking the stories for what they are at face value, he would actually interact with people and have conversations with them before he would disappear.
Well, I mean, and there's nothing saying that he's not in visitation. Mm-hmm. That every once in a while he comes back to visit this place that meant a lot to him.
It very well could be. It could be, but now he was not a victim of suicide.
Right. Exactly.
No, suicide victims, there's a lot of different schools of thought. A lot of them revolve, like Mike alluded to your religion. How your religion views that act. Some of them, like Mike had said, the Catholic faith, it's a no-go. You're going to hell. That's just the way it is. Other faiths have a much different view of suicide. And I tend to lean more towards the softer side. I don't think that if somebody kills themselves, and this is a big, deep subject, and if I offend anybody, absolutely my apologies, because I'm not meaning disrespect. If somebody kills themselves, and especially if there's mitigating circumstances, mental illness, circumstances that they just feel hopeless in, I don't want to believe that the other side is so cruel that they would send them to eternal damnation.
I have a friend who is a light worker, psychic medium. She works a lot with the archangels when she does clearings and stuff like that. Has a very good relationship with them, according to her. And I asked her that question about suicides, and I said, "Is it if you do it, you're done? You know, how do the angels and the divinity or whatever take suicide?" And basically, what she said is they frown upon it, but it does not mean you're done. Like, that's the one place you can go. Like, you can still, even if you take your own life. And I think that's probably, as you just alluded to, the mitigating circumstances that brought it out and brought it on, that you can still go up to heaven if that's where you believe.
Sure, I mean,
you can go.
I would bet anything that just about everybody listening to the sound of our voice, which is evidently a lot of people, again, thank you for that, have had thoughts, have had depressions, have had those moments where that has been a real, I know for me, it has been. It absolutely has been, where suicide for a brief second seemed like the best way out. And then you come to your senses, but some of us just don't. Some of us, it's so dark and so deep that really is, in their own mind, the only way out to relieve any of the issues that they have going on. And I think you're right. I don't think that it's a no-go. And evidently these archangels get around, man. Everybody's got a relationship with them, it seems. I'm the only one that doesn't. Call me. Come on,
I
call
don't either,
me.
man.
Call me.
I don't either.
I'm in the book. But I'm really treading lightly here because, see, suicide has touched my own life. And I had a family member that chose to do that, and I was very close to this family member. And it crushed me because it left more questions than answers. You know, why? Why would you do this? Things like that, and that's completely normal. And to have those questions, but we also don't know the hell that person was going through in that moment. I know I'm getting way off topic of the story here. She wants to know whether the haunting, the point of suicide victims will haunt where they committed suicide, basically. I don't think so. I just don't. And you want to know why I don't? Is because there's this little thing that we have, even in the afterlife, is free will. You're not stuck anywhere unless you want to be stuck somewhere. I firmly believe that. Even after you pass away, you're not stuck.
I don't know the answer to that one.
No, none of us do, and that's the unfortunate part. You know, because if we did, if we had a keen sense of the inner workings of the other side, it would make this life not so terrifying.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know.
On to the next?
Yeah, on to the next.
Okay. All right. Sarah, I do hope we answered your question in, at least a good sense. All right.
Really
so
quickly,
the next question. Sure.
Sarah, if you need to talk, email us up. afterhoursam@gmail.com. If you need to talk about anything, I'm not saying you're in trouble or anything. I'm just saying if you need to talk, we're here for you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sorry. All right. This next one comes from Steve. It says, this happened before the lockdown. I volunteer cleaning up a church that was built in 1883. No one was in the building I was in. I went up to the second floor and heard the organ play, and it got very cold. While I was walking out, I also heard footsteps behind me. It seemed like every time I entered this building during service or volunteer work, there is pressure on my chest and feels like someone is watching me, following me, or is just behind me. I took a photo, not on this phone, and he doesn't have it anymore, and I saw these whitish dots. Could this be a sign of a haunting? Do you want to take first crack?
Well, I guess my first question is, Could it be a sign of a haunting? No, not necessarily. You got these 3 white dots in a picture. It's a digital camera. There's a lot of things that go on with cameras, number one, that can cause these things to happen. Digital cameras, especially the early ones, are really susceptible. Remember those, Mike? Those when you take a picture with a really, because back in the day, 1 megapixel was considered a high-end camera. Oh my God, you got a 1 megapixel? Because before then, it was kilobytes.
A kilopixel.
Yeah, exactly.
A kilopixel.
Exactly. So, I mean, it was a horrible picture. So if you had a 1 meg, oh my God, you're living high on the hog. A lot of problems in those early digital cameras. I'm not saying this is the case, but it still is to some extent with digital cameras. Still the case. Is you'll get what I call digital flare, where you're going to take a picture and see your camera is rendering what it thinks it sees. Because software working. It's taking the picture, it's rendering what it thinks it sees. And if it thinks it sees a flare, it's going to show a flare. But sometimes what that is pixelation gone wrong. And I've seen that a million times because I'll see it and I'll look at it and go, yeah, I remember that in the old days of digital cameras. They did this all the time. It was like the norm and not the minority here. So it could be a malfunction of the camera or it could be a haunting. Let's let Mike be the judge on this. Mike, be the tiebreaker.
It's dust.
Yeah. More than likely.
It's dust.
More than likely.
Now, I think there is a difference between a haunting and there being like maybe some activity. I mean, there is a difference in the two. If there is a spirit there, it probably just is thankful for you taking care of this church. Mm-hmm. And you're somebody that the spirit sees all the time. So even if you go during service when there's a lot of other people, it knows you. And so it's going to follow you around. It doesn't mean that's bad. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that or that you should be scared or apprehensive. It's just going to happen. And I think you should maybe just take that as a thank you from the spirit to it. Maybe he was trying to play the organ for you.
Maybe. Now, have you ever... I've actually investigated quite a few churches. And
I have not. That is something I want to do, but I have not had the opportunity yet.
Yeah, it was a couple really, really old ones, historical landmarks I was in, and they're a different atmosphere altogether in there. And I don't know if it's psychosemantic because you're going in there and you're already, oh man, this is a church, and you feel a certain way about it because we're all taught this is God's house and this, that, and other thing. But it definitely does have a different feel, and never once in like the 20 or 30 churches I've investigated has it been evil. Has it been something that would make me feel like, oh my God, that thing's, it's scary in there. It's actually been the opposite. Very light, very happy. Because remember, happy things happen in churches.
Did you say 20 or 30?
Yeah. I've done quite a few churches over the years.
Wow, you just get around, don't you?
Well, you get a call and it's church, and usually it's somebody that will buy a church, and they're going to want to repurpose
and try to turn it into a house.
Yeah, they repurpose it for whatever reason. The only time I've noticed with a church that it gets on the darker side is if somebody wants to use it like as a commerce place, like to sell stuff. That was the only time I ever felt a difference. Well, and if you take it biblically, Jesus got mad when they were selling stuff out of a church and he flipped his gourd.
Afraid I don't know that story.
And so, I mean, I'm not saying that has anything to do with it. And, if you believe it, that's great. If you don't, that's also equally that great. But yeah, it seems like if it's going to be used for something other than its intended purpose, it seems to get a little dark.
I understand.
So, but if it's going to be renovated to be a historical church, like a historical, I investigated a synagogue, and it was being restored to its former glory of being this wonderful Jewish, church, and it was actually a good experience, a wonderful experience, because I think that was what the spirits inside wanted that to happen, that to keep going, that experiences that they had to live on to the next people.
Yep. I can see that. And that, I guess it's just something I'm going to have down the road for me. Because like I said, I've never investigated a church, so I can't really
you wanted to,
chime
though,
in.
right? You'd said that you'd want to.
Oh, that would be phenomenal. I would love to do the St. Paul Cathedral.
Well, that's
I'll bet you that I always aim high. But wait, I'm wrong. I actually did the Scottish Rite Temple, which is down in downtown Minneapolis, and it is an old Presbyterian church.
Very cool. So
I guess I was wrong. I have investigated a church, but again, it wasn't really used as you would normally do a church because it belonged to the Freemasons. So they used it for their rituals and their level promotions, whatever they want to call them.
And what was your findings of that location?
I actually had far more stuff happen in the other parts of the building than I did that section. It was humongous. I mean, it was gorgeous, but we really didn't have all that much go on in the actual church area.
Yeah.
So
it was almost like a dead zone, pardon the pun. Like just not a whole lot going on.
It was a vacancy, yes. Yeah. I just think that they were. It wasn't a church for very long before the Masons got a hold of it. So I don't think that any Presbyterians or anybody that attended it when it was a church felt any sort of connection to it before it was sold off.
Yeah. Well, I got to put a caveat in there. I've done old churches and new churches. And it's the old churches that seem to have more activity than the new ones. And I think because it's the energy of the people, the parishioners. Think about all the things that happened there. You had baptisms, you had marriages, you had funerals. I mean, really, for a lot of people, that was the center of their community, was that church.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they really loved there. They were born there in a lot of ways because they were baptized, they got married there, they died there. So it really was the center of their world. And it would make sense why, especially in these older churches, that same feeling would resonate. And I do, Steve, I like the fact you're volunteering to clean up the church. That's really good of you. A lot more people should have volunteered to clean up things rather than destroy them. Unfortunately, the paranormal, that is far too much the other way happens, vandalism.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. But again, thank you so much for volunteering to clean up the church. And if you did have an encounter there, it's one you definitely won't forget. But if you didn't, you know what? Thanks for emailing us just the same. But keep looking. You just never know. I mean, you might be the one to come up with the Holy Grail evidence. So just keep at it.
Nice job throwing the Holy Grail in there.
Hey, come on, man. Everybody wants the dancing ghost on video that,
No, I understand that, but we're talking about a church, and you threw in the Holy Grail of...
I didn't even put that two together while I was talking. Didn't even talk about... We got to run it. We got to get out of here. We come back. We're going to be discussing the psychic abilities, the paranormal, all sorts of good stuff. Don't go anywhere. We got Melissa Bryan on next. It should be a lot of fun. Be right back right after this.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound toe chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is the beautiful Michael O'Neill. How you doing,
Yes.
Mike?
That has just been announced.
that has. I kind of felt bad.
Where I am in the social beauty scale of the world.
Well, yes, you are, might I say, a sexy, sexy man. Okay, and I'm hetero.
Oh, enough. Okay,
I'm confident enough of my sexuality. Okay. Tonight we have Melissa Bryan on the show. She is a psychic medium, paranormal investigator. She does everything like that. So, Melissa, how the heck you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Can't complain right now. Got a lot going on, and yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a psychic medium. I've been doing this pretty much all my life since the age of 3, and I've been pretty much seeing, hearing, feeling, sensing, knowing, etc., for 40 years, almost 41 on my next upcoming birthday. And then, well, I wrote a book called Born into Shamanism. It is now award-winning, #1 bestseller on Kindle Amazon, so check it out, Kindle Amazon. And, I've been just doing my spirit thing.
Well, that seems like you're quite busy. So now you say you've been a psychic for 41 years?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was born with it, but pretty much it started kind of at the age of 3, because that's when I saw my first spirit entity.
So you weren't doing readings from the crib, is what you're saying?
No, not at all.
It's too bad, because you could probably get a show now.
It took quite a while to get to that point, let's put it that way.
Whoa. Did you kind of have to come out of your shell to start giving readings? I mean, what was that process like?
Yeah. Basically, it was where things were kind of like, I knew there was something, and I reached out to some people when we got our first computer, and they actually helped me walk me through this stuff to figure out just what exactly was going on. And finally, one of my now former colleagues turned me on to books by Sylvia Browne, and that kind of turned the light bulb on. And finally, at age 21, I thought, oh, God, no, great. I'm, getting bombarded by all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I thought, they're going to lock me up. They're going to medicate the hell out of me. Oh, my God, I'm going nuts. My ancestors sat me down and said, whoa, not so fast. That's not what's happening. Here's the real story. You're going to be a shaman. I'm going to be a what? Insert shock, awe, surprise, a little bit of skepticism with a little bit of fear right there. Mm-hmm.
So what actually goes into being a shaman?
Well, I'm not entirely certain, but age 43, here we are. It entails basically working with spirit, nature, and plants and animals, and the surrounding world to affect healing for those who need it.
Okay. How long have you been doing that?
All my life.
Wow, so you're a shaman and a psychic.
Well, no, I'm not saying I'm a shaman. No, I'm saying I'm a student of.
Gotcha.
This point, I am a student of. In other words, I'm still studying. I've got a long way to go, folks. I don't have the whole thing down yet.
Sure.
I have a long way to go, and I found a school online that is willing to take me the entire rest of the way that I need for my training. So that's really great, and my ancestors have been amazing. God love them. And even bless Miss Sylvia Browne in spirit. God, we miss you, girl. We miss you. And she's the one that really, through her books, I never met her personally, unfortunately. I wish I could have. She turned the light bulb on for me, and I thank her every day for it.
I think she did that for a lot of people. I interviewed her several times, Sylvia Browne, on radio, and she was an interesting individual.
Yeah, she really turned the light bulb on for me and kind of helped me not to be afraid of what I was dealing with.
Okay.
She allowed me to learn how to face it head on. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Instead of worrying about it, face your fear and just be who you are. And
exactly.
Yeah, I've heard her message several times about that too. Be who you are, and you can't go wrong. Yeah, makes total sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I see you have a website over here, and I'm on your website, and a couple things stick out to me. Number one is the 90% accuracy. I mean, I've never heard of a psychic though say that. So,
well, basically, it's more or less where it tends toward that, not so much being that, but tending toward it in certain cases. It is never going to be 100% of the time. Not going to happen, for one. And for two, I keep a 10% margin of error. That way, if there's anything I, for one, say get wrong or misinterpret, or for that matter, that I don't see fully clearly enough, it accounts for it.
Gotcha. So you're giving yourself the 10% margin of error.
Yes.
Ah, interesting. For
anything I might mistake, misread, mishear, misjudge, or, just anything of human error, because, psychics, we're human too.
Yeah.
we're not always going to get it right 100% of the time.
Sure.
Not going to happen.
Sure. That's perfectly understandable, the human error factor. Now, when you speak to them, or you see them, like you see a friend, or do you just hear them?
Yes.
How does it work?
Oh, I see them, I hear them, and I feel them. They actually will touch me on my shoulder, on my neck, on my arm, on my hand. They will make their presence very much known. I will feel that sort of a static electricity feeling when they're around me, for one. And for two, I see them as clearly as I see another person. I can actually physically see them.
Okay.
Yeah. I've always been able to. It's just something that is, and I don't know how to shut that off.
Yeah.
But, it just is.
So, how do you tell the difference then? Let's say you're not doing a reading, and you're out driving your car. How do you
I
tell...
don't drive. I don't drive. I'm a passenger because my eyesight and my hearing are not as good as most people. It's genetic abnormalities. And basically, I will get an automatic direct, almost like a direct message, if you will. I will hear something, and it'll be as clearly as I hear you. I hear below the normal range of human hearing, which is where spirit speaks.
So you don't see them, you hear them, is what you're saying?
No, I do see them, but sometimes they will come in as just a voice, or a feeling, a sensation, something to let me know that they are around me.
Gotcha. Okay. Very interesting.
Would you say that certain spirits then only know how to do certain things, like they don't know how to show themselves to you, but they can figure out how to talk to you?
Sometimes their energy is not as clear as what I or they would like it to be. Sometimes I'm not ready. There's going to be cases where I'm not ready specifically to full see them. So I have to let them know, I'm sorry, I need you out of my space. I can communicate with you via hearing and communicate your message, but I am not ready to see you right now. You see what I'm saying? I have to set boundaries, too. Otherwise, I'm just going to get bombarded 24 hours a day.
Sure. Yeah. Makes sense. We've heard other psychics say similar things. A friend of mine, Amy Allen, she said the same thing.
Yes, Amy! Oh, my God, she's amazing.
Yeah.
She is amazing. Oh, my God.
She has mentioned several times about boundaries and knowing how to shut it off and management.
Right.
Which would stand to reason.
It's like, okay, one of those little ticket things. Take a number, sit down, I'll call you when I'm ready,
Is it something
like that?
Metaphorically, there's a waiting room then.
Yes, yes. Metaphorically speaking, there is a waiting room. Yes. Yeah, in my case. I can't speak for anyone else, but for me, yeah, that's the way it is.
Gotcha. Well, that is interesting. I've never. You're the first I've ever heard that has a waiting room.
Yeah, and believe me, it is a busy waiting room.
Do you have spirits that come to you with a message of somebody that you haven't met yet? Like maybe they're going to come in, they're a client for like the first session you've ever had with them, and their spirits or whoever that they want to communicate with are already there waiting.
Yes, I've done that a couple of times actually. One of them was a client here in town, here in Roseburg, and her house was, I could say, like mine sometimes is, Grand Central Station. Now my direct your call, and I swear to you, this place was busy, freaking active. And she said, well, the spirits knew you were coming. It's like, no kidding, really? You could have knocked me over with a feather. And it was busy in there. I could hear footsteps. I could hear them talking to each other. I could, hear them moving things. And I quietly went upstairs to my client. And she goes, that's okay. I know what to do. Okay, so I got my tools out of my case because I have a little, luggage type case. I carry my tools in that little case. I got them out and I did my work, and the whole place went quiet.
Wow.
They currently have their lives back, and they're doing great.
Well, that's good to hear. You're able to calm that location down. So before you show up on scene, do you ever have any of the spirits of the location that you're going to ever come to you far in advance?
Yeah, probably about an hour, maybe 2 hours before, in some cases. Now, this is not all the time. This does not happen consistently, but I get a buzzed up energy feeling. If I'm not getting it right away, then I get a buzzed up energy feeling. I'm really nervous. I'm really excited. I'm raring to go. I'm ready to do this. That's how that sometimes works.
Mm-hmm. So when you do a reading for somebody, a client, do you need time to prep for that, or can you do spontaneous readings?
I do spontaneous. I don't like to ever do anything prepared, as it were, because I'm usually always ready for clients. Usually always just ready.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was to say that's interesting. Like, I almost want to ask for one right now.
Well, I'm not particularly ready to sit for spirit now. I've got my head in this game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you have to be in the right frame of mind, is what you're saying.
Right. And I'm not ready to do that right now. So, like I said, I have to set my boundaries and say, look, this is where my head is.
Sure.
So let's just do this first, and then we can take care of that.
Sure. It sounds like you have an impressive media resume.
Yes.
You've been on CNN, it says.
Yes, I have. Yeah, I've been on CNN. It was for a missing persons case. And, of course, later articles having to do with that confirmed the information that I got initially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you are able to help find missing people, is what you're saying?
Yes, I've done this a number of times. I now have like 12 cases. I would like to do more. I'm really good at it. And what I do is I can sit down with information from a case, like, say, a photo. I will sit down and I will intently focus my energy on that photo, and information will come back to me.
Now,
I can get names, dates, places, like an image of a perpetrator, for example. I've done that a couple of times, and I actually have what's known as FlashFace 2.0. It's a police sketch app that I can use to actually bring forward the faces of spirit, the faces of a perp, the face of the deceased, anything that would require a drawing. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's I have heard of that app before, and we've talked to investigators, police investigators, that have talked about using a similar application. So has any of your investigations on missing persons, your information, has any of it directly led to recovery of a body or a live person?
Yes. I can say that with sincerity, yes.
Can you go into detail?
I am going to give you one in particular. In fact, two of them in particular. One of them was the Kit Carson Co-op robbery case. My family and I, we were living in Taos, New Mexico at the time, or just outside of, at a little town called Arroyo Seco. And that was our electric company. All the president had to do was say, we've been robbed, and information just clicked. It just started coming and coming and coming and coming. It was like a tidal wave. I got home, wrote everything that Spirit gave me down, every detail I could get. I called the co-op president and said, here's the details you need to know. Give this to law enforcement. This is who's involved. This is how they're involved. This is why they're involved. And you know what? I actually walked right past one of the perpetrators the same day. When I realized who it was, I go, oh my God, I walked right past that individual. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. You know, I was freaking out at that point. I'm going, oh my God, wow. And I did not have Flash Face 2.0 at that time, unfortunately. I wish I could have had a sketch artist, but you know what? The big thing that really hit me is about a year and a half later on both of these cases, in fact, the newspaper, Taos News, came out with the story, and on the first one, the Kit Carson co-op robbery case, I only missed 3 tiny details. 3 out of everything else. Mm-hmm. When my husband read the story, I sat there in shock. I'm like, there's no way I could know that. Not even a little bit of a way I could know that. But Spirit gave it high and big. Spirit gave it, and they were dead on.
So the Spirit came to you, of course, saying this is the individual that perpetrated the crime.
Actually, there were 3 individuals. It was one of the employees' daughter, and the employee's daughter's boyfriend, who, by the way, was a gang member at the time. Now, I don't know if he still is. I have no information on that whatsoever, so don't ask. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But anyway, it was those 3, and what happened was the DA bungled the case by not getting the proper, I don't know what you want to call this, but proper, maybe it was like documentation or some kind of a record or something of that nature. I don't remember. But everything is in my book. It's all documented, all detailed, what I hit, what I didn't, and, you know, correlation between what I got, what the case was, what the article said, and how hard I hit it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the second one was the Holy Cross Hospital fire, where the old Holy Cross Hospital was an old adobe building, very, very beautiful. They were looking at turning this into an office building, you know, renovating it, turning it into an office and, you know, art space and all that. I was looking at getting a space myself because I felt so warm, so loved, so welcomed, and almost like, and my symbol for family is like a blanket that's come out of the dryer wrapped around my shoulders. Mm-hmm. That's how it made me feel. And I was looking at the possibility of doing that. My husband called me one day and said, by the way, Holy Cross Hospital, the old one, is on fire. It's burned to the ground, and my heart sank into my stomach. I was so sad. I mean, to this day, I still grieve for it because it's gone. But what happened was that in the basement of the building, there were 3 individuals. One was murdered by the other 2 individuals, and it was like a drunken, some sort of like a little party between the 3 of them. And they were homeless and all that stuff. I'm sorry it had to happen like that. But anyway, soon as I, you know, went to go say goodbye, which the locals were allowed to come by and pay their respects to the building, and the spirits that resided there, and, you know, to everything that building represented, immediately I started getting flashes, information started coming again, tidal wave, you know, just coming and coming. So I went home, did it again, wrote it all down, went to law enforcement and said, here's what you need to know. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, about a year and a half later after that, again, same thing happened, article in the newspaper, and I missed maybe one detail.
That's amazing.
That's honestly, I was shocked. I'm like, well, Spirit did it again. you know, this is not mine. I do not accept any of this as mine. This is Spirit completely. Spirit takes this one again. It's all theirs.
That's a that's a heck of a story. That's very cool.
Everything's documented in my book.
So, Melissa, I have a question. So on your website, you said of how you want all of your clients in your sessions to be face-to-face because it helps with your accuracy and getting in contact with the people you need to.
Yes.
But obviously now, because of this COVID, you've moved to doing Skype only.
Yes, yes.
How is that going, and what does that do for your accuracy?
It's the same thing as being face-to-face. It doesn't change anything.
Well, that's good to know. You can continue to do Skype then. Moving forward means that you don't have to be face-to-face, and you can just do it right over the phone. And that should open
I can
you
do
up
it
to...
over the phone, and I can do it face-to-face because, this allows me to have that video, conferencing, and I can still read aura, I can still read energy, I can still see spirit coming in, I can still, do everything I normally do.
Yeah. I got to ask, being that you're in tune and have such a high accuracy rate with our current world situation, any predictions?
Honestly, I think the whole thing's going to go away by November. Honestly, I believe the whole thing will go away by November because all of this, I feel, has been moved from an actual health thing to a political fight. And although I don't believe in it being politicized, I don't personally believe in that, and it angers me that it's being treated as such, but there's nothing I can physically do about it. But I believe that this has become a political fight more than a health fight. And honestly, if any of these government officials are listening to this right now, you guys need to friggin' knock it off. I mean it. Knock it off, or I'm going to come over there and I'm going to vendetta ride against all of you. I'm going to turn you over my knee. I'm going to whoop your butts, and you're not going to sit down until the next millennium. Do I make myself clear?
Strong words.
Knock it off.
Yeah, I was leaning more towards the virus, but thank you for that.
Honestly, they need to knock it off. Grow up. Be adults. Quit acting like stupid children. Or I'm going to come over there, turn you over my knee, paddle your butt. You're not going to sit down till the next millennium. Do I make myself clear?
Well, so anyhow, it's good that November is when you're predicting this will be all just gone. So that'll be good.
I'm kind of hoping for September myself.
I was too, but it is what it is. I know that
I think it'll be November because honestly, this is a political fight now, and honestly, these people need to just grow up, move on, quit this nonsense. It's nonsense. It's bull donkey nonsense. Really, grow up.
It's not going to be over because the virus is gone. It's going to be over because we have an election.
Right, exactly. It's about politics now, and they've made it more than clear. Look it up, House News, News Review, New York Times, LA Times, all Sacramento Bee, all these other, big major newspapers. Look it up. It's easily researchable.
All right, then.
Yep.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And
you're welcome.
So why don't you go ahead and tell them on your website where they can get a hold of you.
HTTPS Henry Thomas Peter Samuel : / psychic 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 mom MOM Mary Oscar Mary all lowercase one word 2017 Wix Whiskey Iris X-ray Wix site SITE Samuel Iris Thomas Edward .com / Melissa Bryan.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Melissa, thank you for giving us a half hour of your time.
Thank
very
you.
Interesting, very enlightening. Again, if you want to get a hold of Melissa, she just gave the website. I'm not going to give it. It's just too darn long for me to repeat that. But you can also look her up on Facebook. She's available on Facebook. She's has a website. You can get your own reading from Melissa if you so choose to. So we will be right back right after this with more of your news. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's a shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joe Sturgis. Right along with me is Michael O'Neill. And,
dude.
Thank you, Melissa Bryan, for the last half hour for coming on. It was very enlightening and interesting to speak with her, to say the least. Now we're back at it. We got some great news stories for you. We kind of dug around the internet to find some of the weirdest, strangest stuff. One that kind of caught my eye, and it's really not even paranormal, but I had to bring this up. And I'm actually springing this on you. Man arrested in Sioux Falls after refusing to leave the jail. What? Who does that?
I saw that you had posted that right before we
I couldn't believe what I was reading. A man is back behind bars in Minnehaha County after police say he refused to leave the jail. The incident happened early Saturday morning. Sioux Falls Public Information Officer Sam Clemens, the man has been released from jail, but didn't want to leave. I've never heard of that before. It's time for you to go now. I don't want to go. Don't make me go.
Well, maybe he's having marital problems.
It could be. He was told to leave several times by correction officers. And they actually escorted him off the property. And he kept coming back. So they called. And he refused to leave. So he was taken back to jail. I mean, really, who's the winner in this story?
The guy.
The guy is. Come on. I don't want to leave. You can't make me either. It really doesn't go into detail about the guy, the individual, or what he was in for. I wish they would have. But I don't know. I've never done time in the clink, but I would imagine once they spring you, you want to run. You know, I've seen lots of movies.
Right, and as we all know, movies are a direct correlation.
They normally
to how
have your
reality
partner. Going by strictly the Blues Brothers rendition of leaving jail, it's usually your buddy picking you up in a used cop car.
Right.
You've seen Blues
well,
Brothers.
Maybe
right?
he didn't have any friends.
Maybe not.
Maybe he was homeless.
Maybe not. I that just struck me as funny, and I just needed to chuckle there for a minute, and and I needed a good laugh, and that did provide that laugh. I don't know, man. I've never heard that before. Okay, your time's up. You may leave now. No, I don't want to. I love it here.
Well, all right. Well, we're going to have to put you back in jail then.
Oh, that's fine with me. Same room. Thank you. So over the years, over several decades, years and years and years and years, Ed and Lorraine Warren have been, well, for many people, Ed and Lorraine Warren was the first taste of the paranormal for a lot of people. Because they were like pre-ghost hunters, pre a lot of things. I mean, Ed and Lorraine Warren were at it for a very long time, since the 1960s. And they've had some great cases. And one thing Ed and Lorraine like to do, or what they found themselves doing on a lot of investigations, is bringing home the objects in question. Whether it be, the haunted objects. We all know about Annabelle. We've all seen the movies. And those movies are a little hit and miss, to be honest with you. I liked, actually, the last Annabelle was pretty good with the girls. Have you seen any of them? I suppose I should ask you that.
I have not, actually.
You have not seen any of the movies?
I have not seen any of the movies. I have read the actual story of Annabelle. So I guess it's one of those, I know the story. I don't want to go into a movie about the story and have it be so completely wrong that I'm just irritated.
The movie, of course, tried to tell the tale loosely, but then the subsequent movies were absolutely just nuts and not even a part of in reality at all. At some point, Annabelle became a superhero. I'm not quite sure when or how in these movies, but she became a superhero. Or I guess maybe anti-hero, because she's the bad guy, or bad person, or bad doll, or bad entity, whatever you want to call it in the movies. And they're kind of, with the exception of the middle one, it's called Annabelle Created, I thought as a horror film, barring the fact that there's a real story there, that was the best of the franchise, if you want to take it as a film. But if you're taking it as fact, it's garbage. All of it's garbage. Each and every little tidbit of it is absolute garbage.
Sounds about right.
It's absolutely just garbage. Okay, because the reason why I brought up Annabelle right away was because, oddly enough, she's not on this list.
She's not on the list, no.
Her picture's there. Her picture's there, which is kind of like a bait and switch, I think, to get you to want to read it. Oh, there's Annabelle. I'm going to read this. And then they'll give you the goods. So, anyhow, that's why I brought her up. The first thing, they have a lot of them. There's a music box that was owned by the... Now, have you talked to Andrea Perrin? Have you ever had her on your show? On the Odyssey?
I have not.
Nope. She is, of course, the daughter, the youngest daughter, or is she the second youngest? I can't remember. We're going to have her back on and tell her tale one of these days again soon. Of the Perrin family from the original, the Conjuring movie. And in their home... If you've seen the movie, I don't need to really explain it to you. But for those that have not, I really cannot do it justice without a whole show, 2-hour show on its own, just talking about their case. But this case, there was a music box that was owned by the family that was allegedly the epicenter, the centerpiece of the haunting in some way, and Ed and Lorraine came into possession of this. So the youngest child, April, found an old music box in their home and used it to connect to a child ghost named Rory, who was allegedly killed by his mother, Baptista. Now, Baptista, you've seen the movie The Conjuring. Am I correct, Mike? You have seen that one.
Bathsheba.
Bathsheba, there we go.
And
Baptista.
yes, I have seen The Conjuring. So, I mean, I know that's obviously not the music box, but a good replicant of it.
Well, anyhow, in the movie, Lorraine was also able to see Rory, spirit through the music box, and then ended up placing it in the artifact room and music and da-da-da. But it's real. That's the point. That music box is actually sitting in there. Well, not there anymore because unfortunately both Ed and Lorraine have passed away, but was sitting for many years in their museum. Now, do you know the item in question we're talking about?
I know. Well, yeah, I've never seen it, but
no, I mean,
I know the music box that you're talking about.
I guess my question to you is, first we have to maybe qualify this a little bit. Now, you kind of talked about in the first hour. Spirits can indeed attach to objects, right? In your opinion?
Yep.
Now, I guess my question to you then is why? Why would they want to an inanimate object hang around?
No flippin' idea.
That's a good answer
I
I've
honestly
ever
don't.
heard. That really is, because I have no idea either. That's why I passed it off to you. Maybe you had something insightful, because I got nothing.
No. I know this is a shock to many of our listeners, because I'm always so insightful. But I can understand a family heirloom, something that really means a lot to you. But a music box that has a bunch of clowns circling around it, I can't see why you would choose that, if you even had that choice. I think it might be because I've got it's not a plaque, but it's like this plastic plaster Paris type of mold that my mother painted when I was probably 2 years old. It has been hanging on my wall in every home that I have ever lived in, and it still hangs up in my room now. So I can imagine that when I pass and I'm no longer there to put any energy, or my body energy is not there anymore, I could see if somebody took that and put it up in their house, if maybe something of me would then haunt them. So I don't know if I would necessarily, as a conscious entity, be connected to it as much as maybe it's a projector.
I was going to say, is it just a little piece of you? Not you.
Yeah.
But just a piece of you.
It's a fracture. It's a fraction of me that has been absorbed through decades of it being around me and the things that I have done. I mean, because if I get into a lot of really bad times, or a lot of really things that have a lot of emotional intensity to them, it's probably going to absorb a lot of that throughout the years. Mm-hmm. So I would not be surprised if a part of me is with it, just because it's been with me my entire life so far. Yeah. So I mean, I guess if Rory had this music box, maybe it was when he was brought home as a child, that was like the one thing his mother and daddy gave them or whatever, and was with him until the end of his life. His energy may be connected to that.
That's the wonderful part about the show, is we're a little bit on the ADD side, and our listeners love it, because we'll start on one subject and end up completely on the other side. And I got to say, I love that factor as well. And next thing I kind of want to bring up is because this particular music box has a mirror in it. Now, do mirrors, I've heard a lot of theories of mirrors. Tons and tons and tons and tons of them.
Yep, me too.
Do you believe, like I kind of do, but I kind of don't, because it's just a mirror after all. Do you think a mirror can work as a catalyst to the other side? That things can step through it? And the reason why I ask is years ago when I was in Louisiana, I toured the Myrtles plantation before I investigated it. And we were taking the tour with the gal, before when lights out, and she explained about the mirrors and the handprints to look for and things like that. Now, do you think that there is anything to that? Because now that story, they covered the mirrors. In the South, it was a really big tradition to cover the mirrors when you died, because there was a belief that you could go into the mirror. And
it's what I hate to bring it up, but I mean, because it's such a tragedy. But the killer at Villisca did the same thing.
Yes.
Covered up all the mirrors.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
I think all the windows too.
Yeah, he did. Now that you mention it, he did cover all the windows. So that always made me think, and again, peering off to another subject, that the killer in Villisca, because of that, was such an ingrained Southern tradition. There's a real strong chance that that individual might have been from the South.
Could be. When it comes to
cover them, why else? Why would you care, or why would you want to cover it unless he didn't want to see himself doing what he was doing?
Yeah, there's. I mean, obviously, it has no base in reality, as more as it's a TV show. But if you remember from back in the 90s, there was a show called The Pretender.
Yes.
And in my opinion, one of the best flippin' shows in that entire decade. But I digress. But in it, there's an episode called Blue Moon Rising, and it dealt with a serial killer who would, I believe, cover the mirrors and rip out all of the eyeballs of like the stuffed animals. And the purpose of that was because he didn't want to be watched. Mm-hmm. He didn't want anybody to see him doing it. So I think that there's definitely truth in that. Mm-hmm. I think there's even, I vaguely remember somebody saying that they didn't want the spirits escaping into the mirrors, so they would cover them.
Yeah.
Like when people died, they didn't want the spirit to escape through the mirror.
That was the explanation I was given in the South when we were talking about the mirror and why they'd be covered and things like that. What was because they didn't want the spirit escaping. They didn't, or it could be reverse. It could be a doorway for other spirits to come in. There's a lot of lore behind mirrors, and I've noticed a lot of haunted objects deal with mirrors. There's a fair bit of them. I was on a case 3-4 months ago, and someone said they had a haunted mirror, and they tried to give it to me. I'm like, nope, I'm good. You keep your haunted mirror. Nope.
Try to give it to you.
Oh my God. Like they try to force all sorts of crap on me, people. It's like, no. You don't seem to understand.
I don't think people like you as much as you think they do.
I don't want your haunted object. Because if it's messing your life up, what makes you think I want to bring it home?
Well, right, but they want your life to be messed up, not theirs.
It already is. Sorry, mirror. Ha! I already done messed it up good enough. I beat you to it.
I don't know so much about the doorway thing. I know that is definitely a theory. I know that there are probably documented cases of that happening. I think it would have to be a specific type of mirror with a particular kind of energy to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it, not to take you off the topic at all, but I was going to say, how do you feel about, and you can finish that statement, but keep this in the back of your head. How do you feel about clothes, uniforms? Would they also hold that energy? Because that's the next thing we're talking about, is a samurai suit.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think that I could go to Walmart, buy a pair of jeans and a T-shirt, wear it once, and then have it have any part of me whatsoever. But when it's a uniform, it's worn all the time, and especially if you're killed in it, like an army uniform would be, like a samurai suit would be, Yeah, I mean, your soul, your energy has to pass right through it, in order to escape. So yeah, I definitely see it holding at least some residual type energy. I don't know if it would hold your actual consciousness or anything like that.
I would probably say a residual because, and Lorraine Warren, for most of the people that have seen the Conjuring films, the newest one, Annabelle Comes Home, prominently, as you've seen it shown here and there in the Conjuring films themselves, the samurai suit in the corner from dates back to like the Ming Dynasty. It's that old, that samurai suit, and they own that. And now, evidently, that suit, the story goes, would come alive with no one in it and assault people. Or attempt to. Like, not like run around like Scooby-Doo run around. But it would mentally assault people by projecting the violence and influencing people's moods. The samurai suit would make them uber violent. Do you think that an object can project something on that level to somebody?
You would have to be pretty flippin' serious in order to have that much. And you'd have to be do I think that something like that could influence me? Probably not. But somebody who is far more open, far more sensitive than I am could probably in some way be influenced if they're around it in the right environment, in the right type of situation.
But I think what you're saying with the suit, because think about what a suit does, is it protects you and you're in the suit. You're literally in the suit.
Yeah.
And think of all your fears, hopes, dreams, you name it, especially if it's a suit being worn in battle like this would have been worn, a samurai suit.
Yep.
All that energy would probably be soaked right into that suit. And so it stands to reason that I would think it'd be more residual. Now, other people don't claim it's a residual. Some people have claimed that this samurai suit, that the former wearer is unknown who owned it, actually projects thoughts into people's heads. So I find that far-fetched myself, but is it possible? I don't know. I want to say my knee-jerk reaction is that's crazy. But there's been a lot of people that have come forward to talk about objects influencing their behaviors, their personalities. There's been cases where people's personalities have changed once they become in possession of an object.
Yep. You know, I just had a thought come into my head, and I almost want to wonder if it has seen so much badness, death, suffering, that kind of thing, especially in battle after battle. If it has almost developed a poltergeist type personality to it, like it's not an actual spirit of a former samurai. It's more a collective consciousness of all of the samurais whose energy is a part of it. And like all baby children and whatnot for poltergeists, once it starts becoming conscious and aware, it might start sending out stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's true or not. I'm spitballing here.
Well, no, I mean that theory is as plausible as anything else, though. You see what I'm saying?
Well, of course.
You know, because we don't know, but it does make sense. It has rationale behind it.
Does it?
Does it have rationale behind it? If we want to stretch that far, if we want to let our imaginations go for a minute, because really a suit's just a suit. I mean, it's an inanimate object. But it almost seems like these objects in a lot of their museums, I'll bring up, well, Zach Baggins, for instance.
Shouldn't have.
Look at that Haunted Museum.
Choose not to.
All the things that we just had a guest on last week that claimed that she fought a demon in that museum. Oddly enough, without anyone knowing. But that's a whole other story. And if you have not heard that show, if you have not heard that show, we talked to June Lundgren last week, and if you missed it, go ahead and download it. It's up for download. You can go to iHeartRadio, you can go to Spreaker, you can go to anywhere you can get podcasts. We're there. So, including Apple, Spotify, you name it, we're all there. But take a listen to that one. That was actually quite an interesting interview. But getting back to the object thing, I have noticed with a lot of people reaching out lately, I would say within the last year or so, it seems the haunted object, I'm not sure if these people are all off their rockers or what's going on, but there sure seems to be an uptick in the reports of people owning haunted objects.
Yep.
Have you noticed that same thing? Where it almost seems like it's... No, you have not. Oh.
No, I have not. Well, I mean, I try not to get involved.
You try not to get involved. You're just...
I try not to get involved and stuff like that, because, I mean, a lot of people... Like I said, they hear 3 knocks on a door or on a wall, and it's suddenly a demon. You know?
Exactly.
They hear footsteps. They hear footsteps in their hallway. It must be the new armoire that they just brought in. That it's a haunted object. I mean, it's
now. I do have a point here. I do. I mean, barring taking at face value the stories, because we can't debunk them by third and fourth hand accounts. But I think a lot of why people seem to be having an uptick in the haunted object craze is simple. Popular culture.
Probably.
There's a lot of movies that are focused on haunted objects. Every Conjuring film had a haunted object associated with it. Like you'd said earlier, John Zappas had a couple seasons of Haunted Collector. That was all, for a long time, that was all the rage, haunted object. And if you go to eBay, if you're listening and you want to snicker to yourself, go to eBay once and just type in haunted dolls.
Yeah. People are selling them like crazy.
You will get a flood. And we have actually taken on this show, we've actually gone to eBay to read these off to people, these accounts of what they're doing, these haunted dolls. But there's so many of them now that you cannot, you can't even keep up with them. I did almost, full disclosure, buy the trash bag full of poltergeists. I had thought about buying those. I even reached out to the seller, and then after a while, she took down the item and never auctioned off. And she was afraid that her poltergeists were going to go to a bad home. So
yeah, that's why
none of us were, poltergeist material, evidently.
I understand.
I almost felt a little rejected after that, but I got over it.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
Well, you're loved by some people. So
very few.
Don't need to feel that way.
So my point is a lot of popular culture influences a lot of paranormal.
Right.
When you go in there, it's you kind of look. You just gotta listen sometimes. And a big tip off for me is if they own every single Conjuring movie or every single whatever horror haunted film franchise and their story, oddly enough, mirrors what's going on in these movies. Yeah, there's a lot of just worry for nothing going on.
So, with the last minute and a half that we have for the show, since we're talking about haunted objects, obviously Greg and Dana Newkirk have the traveling museum, which will be at the Para-Unity convention coming up in October.
That was a clunky segue, but yeah, we can do that.
I thought it was gorgeous, but
Seth Matthews would be proud.
Thank you. Should. Dave and I work really hard on the Odyssey files for our segues. So I just want to say, obviously, that it's still going on October 1st through the 3rd here well, I shouldn't say here, but in Duluth, Minnesota. And right now, for the next 9 days, if you get your order in to go, you will be entered into the drawing to come on this show and co-host it with us.
I can't wait. That'll be a lot of fun.
May 23rd is your last day. So you have some time, but May 23rd, and that's mnparaunity. No. Did I say that right? No, mnparagon.com. Holy crap, I forgot my own website.
Go over there, get your tickets. You got till October, but they are going quick. Tickets are flying off the shelves, so you're going to want to buy them early. And they make a great gift as well. It's also a great time once just to let your hair down a little bit. It's going to be a lot of fun. You'll be able to meet Mike. You'll be able to meet me and all the celebs. And of course, you guys get to meet each other. You guys get to hang out with each other, too. And so that's always a big party atmosphere.
Absolutely.
And so I'm looking forward to it. We'll be there covering it for radio. Mike will be right around doing his chicken with a head cut off impersonation. But
100%.
I will be there. I will be the voice of reason, like always. And I'm kidding, of course. I will be there covering it for radio. It'll be a lot of fun, so be a part of it. Come on over to Duluth. Beautiful city, beautiful time of year. You're going to love the fall colors. And while you're there, make sure you take a trip up the North Shore, because those are some fall colors. They're just phenomenal when you're visiting us. So,
mnparacon.com.
All right, we got to get out of here, Mike. And end of another show. I want to thank you for being my broadcast partner. It's always so much fun. And Melissa Bryan, thank you for coming on the show. That was very interesting, speaking with her. Till next time, guys, take care of each other, love each other, and keep those emails coming. And remember, our door is also always open. We're here for you as much as you are here for us. After Hours AM is a production of Midwest Radio Productions. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And please visit www.americas-most-haunted.com.